Hey guys, Dexy here. Welcome back to another video. So first off, I have to apologize for there being no trivia on Wednesday. I have been in jury duty all week and I had a game all planned and everything, and I went to set it up and my Streamlabs OBS just wouldn't work. Beauties of computers, right? So anyway, so I apologize for that, and I apologize for looking a hot mess. I am exhausted. There is nothing more tiring than sitting for hours and hours. But anyway, I heard something today. I watched a video on my way, listened to a video today on my way to court, and I heard Nick Snyder talking about other stuff. Again, I bring this stuff up because it reminds me of things. But Nick Snyder said something about judging people based on their past behavior and how it's really not a good idea to do. And I totally agree with him. So this is why I agree with Nick Snyder that we shouldn't judge people based on past behaviors. So, look, anybody who's in recovery will probably agree with this. But if we were judged on our past behaviors, like most of us would probably not really be okay with that. If you've dealt with active addiction, like more likely than not, you've done things you aren't proud of. And like, look, I'll just speak for myself. There's a lot of things that I am not proud of. And like, I don't even have like the worst stories I've heard, right? One of the reasons I like recovery is that no matter how bad your past is, no matter how awful something is you may have done, like you can share about it in recovery and someone else is like, me too. And like so often in this world of social media where everything is just there forever, sometimes we say things we don't mean, or sometimes things are taken out of context. And for something to be brought up like years after someone said it, like, I don't know. Look, maybe there's certain things that show the way a person is, but I'm a big believer in growth, right? Like, I believe that we should be celebrating those people who grow and change and learn a new way of thinking. I know a lot of people who used to be hateful or who used to be racist or really believe in stereotypes because they didn't have any other experience. I watched a TED Talk, and if you ever get a chance, I think it's called One Story. And it was a woman, I think she's from Africa, and she was talking about the fact that the only experience that she had with English people were from fairy tales. And so she really believed that like all English people were like blonde-haired princesses until, she grew up and she met somebody else. And she talks about the fact that like, a lot of us, depending on where we're raised, like we only have one story of people, right? And I think we find that with how people judge addicts too, right? When we hear drug addicts, like most of the time we think homeless people on the street, right? Because for a lot of us until recent times, that was our one story of addicts. That's when we saw, the harmful effects of drugs. That was what was drilled into us forever. It wasn't until more recently that we've started to really accept the fact that addicts can be anybody. Addicts can be doctors and lawyers and teachers and parents, right? That like addiction is a disease that doesn't discriminate, just like any other disease. And so I think it's so important that like when we accept the fact that like people learn and grow, judging someone by their past is silly. I've heard a lot of people in my life say things when they were younger that they would never say now. And it's not because they're like more afraid of what people would say, but it's because they're not children, right? Like they've grown up. I know that, look, there are some people who've just gotten better at hiding how they feel, but I think for the most part, we should be celebrating people when they come a long way in how they thought. Whether it be like saying hateful, stupid stuff and now they're not. I'm never gonna judge somebody based on the things they said years ago because I don't know. I'm generally not a hateful person. I am not a racist person. I am not a bigoted person. Those are just not the way my thoughts work in my head. And I'm being honest. But I may have said things that sounded that way because I grew up with a lot of diversity. I didn't really understand the concept of racism until I got to college and saw how people were discriminated against. But in the town I grew up with, like, it was very different. We didn't have racism the way that it is in other parts of the country, right? And so I didn't really understand it. Like, people, I don't know, like, people didn't use hate terms. People didn't use that kind of language. Um, because why would you say things to hurt your friends, right? It just wasn't done. My senior prom, I mean, girls took girls, boys took boys. Like, no one gave a crap who you took to prom, right? It was whatever. So if you're not thinking that what you're saying is hurtful, I can see how you say something in passing without realizing it. There's a lot of terms that are considered hateful and racist or bigoted or whatever that, like, maybe you didn't know. I've seen a lot of examples of that recently. But the reason I try to be open minded in those areas is because I hope people are open minded about me as an addict. I'm very open about the fact that I'm a recovering addict. And I do that because of the stigma. Being an addict carries its own set of, discriminatory thoughts. And I feel like it's important to break the stigma to show, like, look, I'm a mom with 2 kids. I'm a productive member of society. I have literally been in jury duty for all week long, right? These are not things that I would have been, definitely would not have been able to sit in jury duty for a week. But, like, I was just thinking, like, when Nick Snyder said that, like, why are we judging people on their past behavior? I think he's right. I mean, I'm sure that there's exceptions to that rule. I'm sure there's times where we can be like, no, that doesn't change. But for the most part, like, I hope somebody isn't the same person they were 10 years ago. I hope somebody's not the same person they were 5 years ago. As we grow and learn, we should be changing our minds about things. We should be opening up to new ideas. If you believe exactly what you believed 10 years ago and nothing's changed, that's something you may want to look at. I've changed my ideas on a lot of things because when we're open-minded and we're open to new information and new ideas, then we change our minds, and that's okay. Regardless of how you feel politically, this is not a political thing, but one of the things that I remember is President Obama used to actually be against the idea of gay marriage. He's religious, and, I think he was Christian and didn't believe in it. But by the time he was president, he changed his mind, and a lot of people got on him for being a hypocrite. And I remember him saying, like, no, I'm not a hypocrite. I changed my mind. I listened to my daughter and I listened to other people, and I realized that my perspective was wrong. Now, regardless of how you feel about it, the fact is that to me, that's a sign of someone who's intelligent, right? When you can learn new information and realize maybe your perspective from before was incorrect, right? That's part of growing up. So, forget every other area, but, like, for us as addicts, like, it's important that we understand if we want people to accept us and accept our change behavior, we really should be open to other people's change behavior. Now, it doesn't mean you give somebody 100 chances who keeps making the same mistake. I'm just saying, if somebody did something and said something to you a few years ago, and they're telling you that they've changed as a person, like, maybe it's worth giving them a chance. I really wouldn't want anybody to hold against me the worst. If you take the worst things I did in active addiction, the worst things I've said, the worst things I did, the worst lies I told, if you took all that and you judged me now for that, I'm not sure I would have the same friends and loved ones I do today. I was always a good person, but I didn't always do good things. Active addiction changes you. Active addiction makes you forego your morals and ethics because you need to get the next one. Today, I don't worry about all that. Today, I really can just be a good person and try to do the next right thing, right? I don't know. So let me know. Do you think that people change? Maybe you disagree. And if you do, tell me. Do you think people change? Do you think that we should hold past behaviors against somebody? Do you think we give people new chances? Do you think there's a certain period of time. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Also, please join my Discord. So when things like crazy stuff like can't do trivia happen, I always update it on my trivia on my Discord, and I also update it on Twitter. So if you don't follow me there, that may be a good place too. Let me know your thoughts. Share my videos with anybody you think may need them, may be helped by them. I don't know. It helps me grow, and if we can just help change one person's mind about addiction and recovery, then like we're doing a good thing. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, guys.